Hi, my name is Sean Gayhart, and this is my English 239 end of the year portfolio reflection, portfolio review. And when I had to choose what medium I wanted to express my thoughts on how the semester went, and as how I grew as a student over the semester, I had a couple of options, but I really didn't feel like writing a paper because I feel like when I write papers, I start getting a little too much into that author mode and wanting to sound good, and I think I would have been bullshitting a little bit too much about how I thought the semester went. So I figured, just a little personal video off the top of the dome, would really give it more of a personal, sincere view of how I really felt this semester went. So that I hope that's how this comes across when you view this. So really, I'm just gonna go over a couple things. I'm gonna go over how I thought the course went, especially pertaining to the beginning of the semester course goals, and particularly how I evolved this year as a student, because this class, more than a lot of others that I recall taking, I really underwent more of a change from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester than really any other class I've taken. I remember coming into this class the beginning of the year and just being so scared. I remember not having any idea what I was getting myself into. This is one of those classes, as bad as it sounds, I took just to get some credit hours, and it filled the requirement, as I'm sure a lot of students have to do with some classes. So coming in, I didn't even know what multimodality was. I'm coming into a class and I don't even know what the title of the class means. So I remember walking into the room and just looking around, and luckily, to my surprise, a lot of people seemed, really just as scared and lost where they were as I was. And that first day, I remember then we went through the syllabus, and I went from scared to just downright intimidated. We're going through the syllabus, and particularly the goals of the class. And I just remember reading, to develop your reading and composition skills in multiple media, to experience multiple composition as a process. To interrogate traditional writing process. I'm going through and all I see is multimodal, media, all these these composition processes, and I really have no idea what any of these mean in a sense. So like I said, I went from scared to almost intimidated, but I could kind of tell that you knew that we were kind of lost in the beginning, and I felt you did a really good job of getting us right into trying to beat into our heads and trying to, get us grasp this concept of multimodal composition and multimodality as quickly and as effectively as we could. And multimodality it's a tough concept to learn when you don't have any background in it when you're coming in. It's something that you can't just explain to somebody. You have to go through, and you got to get your hands dirty and work with the concept to really understand. And so, the beginning of the year, we did a couple of projects, we went through, did a couple of exercises. We read some readings. I remember the Gunther Kress, the multimodalities reading we did. The multi-literacies was another one. And that, if anything, those readings just confused me even more, the scholarly explanations of multimodal composition. So, really, for the first couple weeks of class, I just remember floating around trying to act like I understood what was happening without really having a really intense, a really deep understanding, a grasp of what multimodality we were trying to do with it. So, and nothing really clicked until the Kuhn +2 exercises that we did. Kuhn +2, that's where everything for me as a student just completely, the light bulb went up and everything turned around, and all of a sudden, this world of multimodality started opening up to me. The Kuhn +2, it took multimodality, a term that I knew nothing about, and it broke it down to concepts that I had already learned, being, in a background of English, being an English major. So it brought these terms that I already knew, in a sense, what they were. Creativity. I can sense what's creative. I know what's creative. I can I know how people should display creativity. I know how to critique creativity. The form and content. I know what both of these are. You know, I know everything that is comprised of form and content, and I can, like I said, like when looking at a piece, I already know how to critique what form and content is. I know how, how a theme should pertain to an audience. I know all of these components of Kun plus 2 separately, and in turn we learned how much they're actually also codependent, and how much they actually interact and intertwine with each other as well. And that's like I said, that's what really got me to understand what multimodality was, by taking these components, breaking them down, and then taking them again, putting them back together, and seeing the whole big picture. And that's like the projects again. They also helped me to to grasp how universal multimodality really is. Like, look at these projects that we did. Like, they were all so thematically, and with their topics, they were so different. You know, we had a comic book project, a project that integrated music, a project that integrated television. We had the Nietzsche project, the the global teaching. So we had so many projects that were so different in so many ways, but yet Kun plus 2 made me realize that all these projects, in terms of multimodality, were all really the same too. You needed to be able to take these concepts and individually perfect each one in order for each one to intertwine with the other and, co-interact and become cohesive and make an effective project that way, and make an effective piece of multimodal composition through Kun plus 2. So like everything came from Kun plus 2 for me, really. Everything about this class, this project, the goals, coming in, multimodal composition, I figured that meant we'd be using different modes of technology, such as, video, audio, web pages, and, it's an English class, so I figured it would just be, us doing English exercises with these different modes, with these different mediums of technology. And it's really so much more than that. It's so much more than just language and English and technology. It's being able for these these components to come together, interact with each other, and really have to pull together all as one to be an effective learning tool, communication tool, information tool. It can be so many things. It's so universal. It blankets over so many things that could really be in multimodality, and that's something that's really kind of cool. It's a concept that was so hard for me to grasp, but really it's so broad when you go in and you learn and you understand it. So that's really that's how the semester went for me. I went from scared and intimidated, and once we got in there and the Kun plus 2 made the light bulb click and made everything all cylinders start going, and that's when I really started understanding, and I was able to get more involved with my projects, and rather than just do the work and get through them, I was more able to play around with them, really go in and work with it, mold it, and bounce ideas off my groups, and I was able, I think it really made the project more dimensional in the end. Having a better understanding made the project more dimensional, rather than just thinking or trying to base my understanding of multimodality off the definition in the dictionary, So overall, I like the semester, like I said, went really well. I've never had a class where my opinion has changed on the class so drastically and so quickly, It turned out to be a lot of fun, and I'm really happy for the experience I got to work with, especially in my group. It was an amazing project. It was really fun to work on, as tough as it was. And I hope to get a chance to work with more multimodal composition in the future, really. I've learned how great of a communication tool it can be, and being an English major and a Spanish minor, it's kind of opened my eyes to the different possibilities, and maybe even the different paths that I can take using my backgrounds in English and Spanish, and also being able to integrate it with new technologies and these modes of communication. So yeah, that's it for me. That's how I felt the semester went. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks a lot. I had a good time. Goodbye.